Hi, welcome back to Chris Dyer's Creative Friends, the super awesome podcast YouTube show where me, your artist friend Chris Dyer, talks to all his awesome artistic friends. Today, I'm in the beautiful town of Ukiah in the north of California. I'm out here painting some murals for different clients, and while I'm out here, I'm going to be visiting my artist friend Roman Villagrana, who's a legendary visionary artist, amazing person, very inspiring, with lots of beautiful stories and memories and art and vibes to share with us. So I hope you enjoy our conversation. Woo!
While the world is burning, got to make amends. Walk on the sunny side with a positive lens. Talks about passion between the women and the men. Chris Dyer and his creative friends, darling. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Roman! How you doing, my brethren?
Really good. Nice to see you, my friend.
Yo!
What an amazing thing.
Yeah, thanks for having me over your beautiful mountain cabin in the mountains of Ukiah. How is it out here?
It's amazing to have the space away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hot.
We're a little bit sweaty right now, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, today is not too bad.
I prefer it hot than cold.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and you're from Seattle, right?
Yeah.
That's where you grew up, or that's where you lived most of your life?
I would say my real growing up as an adult.
Okay.
But my growing up was in Oregon.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Cool. And Seattle and Oregon in general, it's a little bit colder.
Yeah.
Certainly more rainier, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Here, not so much, a little bit?
Not here, yeah.
Yeah.
But I also lived in Humboldt for a while, and it gets a little. It has slowed down a lot as far as rain, but.
Okay. How is living here in the NorCal area, like both for living and for the art scene?
Well, I came down here because of all of that. I moved down here because of the reggae festivals and other art festivals, and the cannabis industry. The cannabis industry was always very supportive to my art. So on one level, there's been like a high flow, and that lasted for many years. And in the last few years of the legalization of cannabis, it really was interesting to witness, even though with my hardcore homies in that industry, I always knew that that time was coming. Even though it was just maybe talked about or theorized, but it actually happened. So it's been interesting to witness that thing happen.
Ironic that the legalization of weed, which you think would be like, okay, now society says that everybody can smoke and it's cool, you'd think more people would be smoking and more money would go to the weed growers, but instead, Babylon took over and squashed the roots people who were doing it in the underground, no?
Well, right off the bat, we can get into one of the main things that I think about is as artists, I feel like it's our duty to step up and represent, for creation's sake in itself. But cannabis is a viable venue for bringing our vision forth. And if the artists don't speak up about it, the corporations will seem to be the ones in charge of the overall vibe or vision. And I see that happening, or I even see the roots people even becoming commercialized in a certain way. But that's where I feel like us as artists have to, take the role to express the vision of our community. Because if we're not going to do it, then, like I said, it's more of a commercialized commercial.
Right. Well, I'd say I definitely come here once a year to the NorCal area to paint murals, and 100% of all my clients are like weed industry people, but not the mainstream cookie cutter people that just want to make the money and don't want to give back to the culture, but the people who are actually illegal for, decades, risking it all to bring the medicine to the people, and make some profit too. But they were using that profit to empower us trippy artists that worked with medicines. And I always enjoyed those clients. These days that the economy is kind of not doing that great, and giving them deals. Let's keep the ball rolling, and let's hope that they can withstand this storm so that we can all come back up together.
But that's exactly right. I think it's us artists that are given an opportunity to speak up for the industry, and not to try and make money off of it, but to not forget where we're coming from. Mm-hmm. Because where we're coming from is a creative, rebellious spirit that's very essential to growing as a human being. Many of us, rebelled against what we were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And we noticed that the people that fell for that trick are not happy in general. And obviously we can see the repercussions through our universe of the sadness of the world. And then there's us visionary artists, for the sake of a better word, people with vision, that no matter at what level they may be at, there's a positive light coming from these folks. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something to pay attention to. Totally. And cannabis has woven a lot of these communities together, and mm-hmm. people together.
Your kitty is playing with the GoPro. Yeah, totally. But big ups to all you growers and farmers out there. We love you. Thank you for your support over the years. We know you will make it. We're out here doing some art, and let's keep it going. Let's keep the real vibes growing out here in nature for the people.
Yes, we're in it together. That's the thing. In the beginning, we recognized that the earth was speaking through us, speaking through the cannabis to weave us together and give us a tool to communicate with each other. And that's exactly what has happened. Mm-hmm. And it can still happen. And that's what I see in the future of this is entertainment. Because there's the alcohol influenced blueprint regarding clubs and music shows and such. And now with cannabis becoming more legal and accepted, it has an opportunity to redesign the social interacting situation. And that's an amazing thing because it's all more of a family vibe, more of a sharing vibe.
Hopefully. Because, weed can be taken in any direction. Weed can be taken into like, ooh, I'm smoking weed and I'm so gangsta and so illegal. And now that's not illegal. It's like, well, I'm just going to take so much dabs that you shall fear me for my tolerance. But it could also just be like, hey, let's smoke weed, vibe out, let's get together and feel all right.
But those people are vibing out anyway. It's like a situation that gave us a voice. Mm-hmm. And some of it, some people get silly. And, that's the thing. We have to accept people to explore themselves and make some weird choices and still be in the circle. Mm-hmm. I think that's a very important thing.
Do you still smoke a lot of weed?
I took a over 2-year break recently, and I recently started smoking again. And I have a easy way of stopping and not participating.
Oh well.
Yeah.
So that's some strength, some discipline.
It's easy.
Okay, not to me. It takes me a long time to smoke. I'm not smoking right now, but I had to work at it, because I don't smoke and then I'll smoke and then I'll not smoke and right now I'm on a period and I still smoked a couple of days ago, but mm-hmm. It's just the less you smoke, when I do smoke, it's really not fun.
Well, I'm afraid sometimes.
You're what?
I'm afraid.
Afraid?
Yeah, when I don't smoke and I'm like, I feel like smoking and I'm like,
it's got to be in a very comfortable place. I'm not doing it in public. If not, I'm going to be a mess. But I do need my breaks. Well, I need to regain my consciousness and know the center of it all.
I'm getting to that point where I can recognize it as a tool, and it never fails.
Yeah, when you do use it with consciousness and intention, it's such a great medicine.
Well, in the beginning, I never did any drugs growing up. I only I dropped acid first before smoking weed as a 21-year-old.
Okay.
And then I started smoking weed. And then I was feeling the connectedness, and there was a lot of lessons coming from shared people and stuff like that. And I kind of felt strange about it. And then I realized that, well, I want to, every hit I get, I want to invoke presence. I want to give it as a prayer. And that's what led me to the Native American vibes a little bit. And I started understanding a little bit more of that. And so I was really trying to, every toke I would take would be a prayer, but that got really hard to do.
Once you get into it and you're like, I just need to get high again, and then you just take it for granted, you're not present with it, it takes you into mental paths.
Yeah, but that's a part of it too, because I remember in the beginning, like I was like, I'm going to take this toke for, I'm going to offer this bowl of herb to God. So my thing was like to offer it to God like this. Well, once I was like, I want to offer this to God. And I went and put it in my mouth and I smoked it. And then I was like, wait a minute. I was offering it to God and I fucking took God's hit.
Well, you are God at the end
I know.
of
Well, that was the beginning of it. You know? Like to you and I speaking about that at this point, that's a given. But when you were like kind of, I would say egotistically being spiritual.
Right.
And then you egotistically take the bull and then you learn the lesson that how else is God going to take it? You're the lungs that would take this offering.
He needs your lungs, he needs your body in order to be in the physical realm, in order to experience any experience, including smoking weed. So give it up to Upside Jah.
Including cigarettes in a weird way. And the weird way is that I was outside smoking a bowl, and this guy goes outside to smoke a cigarette, you know, and he says, well, I want to smoke out here away from people. And then it dawned on me, because I was in the zone at that moment, like, you can't get away from us. You can't sneak over there and smoke your cigarette thinking you're like keeping it away from us when your lungs are our lungs.
Totally. So Roman, let's take it a little bit back to the past. Let's go back to some root styles. And I'll take it even further, but I want to start by asking you, do you remember when we first met? This is something I love to ask all my guests, since all of my guests are like my actual friends. And I know it's a difficult question for some because it requires memory.
Totally. It is jumbled up, and I don't know if I can necessarily.
I had to think about it myself, but
I remember painting on stage at Reggae on the River.
Yes.
And seeing you down there, and you're like standing out, and I was like, I recognized you out in the crowd.
Because that was the MySpace days, and we probably were already friends.
There's a connection of some sort. But,
right. And I was like, oh, cool. That's that dude who airbrushes on stage while he's live painting to Junior Gong. I didn't see any live painters really. It's certainly not a live painter up on a stage with Junior Gong. That's like a big deal.
I've been live painting for a long time, but the reggae thing was a very interesting story for me, because I was wanting to make changes of my life, and then I was at this festival. And I wanted to be part of this thing because it was something I felt called for, because, you know, Bob Marley's my chosen saint. And I was thinking, this is what I am. And the music was very influential in the communities I was involved with. And then I wanted to be, I instantly had the idea, I want to paint on stage right now. So I went and...
You wanted to be a performer.
Yeah, and I went, and at that moment, I was at Reggae on the River. And then I went in like...
This is what, 2005?
I had never paid attention, so I can't even tell.
I think it was 2005. That was my first Reggae on the River.
Maybe a little bit, maybe a year before.
You're probably been going for years.
Yeah.
But my first one that I saw you was 2005.
Well, when I first did it, though, like nobody knew what I was talking about as far as live painting. And then I talked to somebody who says, yeah, you should go and talk to somebody. And then I saw the open door of backstage, and I had the guts enough to just like step in there. And I went like, hey, I want to paint on stage. And then like they said, well, you got to talk to the stage manager. I'm like, okay. So I find the stage manager. I'm like, oh, I want to paint on stage. I'm like, what? Well, all I can tell you is the band that's coming on next, they're the boss.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
Who was it?
It was Midnight. And then I went and found this people. He was being interviewed by a newspaper.
Okay.
And then I was like, hey, I want to paint on stage. And he was like, paint on stage. And then the interview.
But Vaughn's super cool. I bet he was open to it.
No, he didn't know what the heck was that. And then
Yeah.
the person that was interviewing says, yeah, I have heard a little bit of painting and stuff. And he said, I was lucky enough. And he said, sure.
Great.
Yeah.
So with live painting with airbrush, what, you had to bring a whole tank and a machine that made like motor noises, or would you go with brush? What was the dynamic with a band that probably wouldn't want a compressor on stage?
It's everything was always accepted. Nobody questioned it. There was a couple bands that questioned me. Like Bunny Wailer questioned me, but he said second set, but not the first set. And I was like, fucking
That's
awesome.
so cool. You painted with Bunny Wailer.
Buju Banton, the list goes on and on.
Tell me the list.
Sizzla. Yeah.
That's so cool. Wow. What a special moment. So mid 2000s, for those who don't know, was like such a special moment for reggae music, you know, and California. I was lucky enough to be working for Satori Movement and Creation Skateboards, who were bringing me to California. I was a big dreadhead. Roman was a big dreadhead. His girlfriend at the time, Jen, was a big dreadhead. Everyone was a big dreadhead. And we're all into reggae. And there was Roman up on stage live painting like you'd never seen any before. Like, what a legend. And through meeting you guys out there in Reggae on the River, Sierra Nevada, the Seattle Hempfest, Tribe 13 invited me to the Interdimensional Art Shows. So this is going to be a little bit of a visionary art history class here, because Roman's such an OG. But can you tell me a little bit of the roots of North American visionary art? What is Tribe 13? What is the Interdimensional Art Show? And, you know, what was your involvement in all of that?
Well, I mean, it might sound egotistical to say up front. It's like it's something I created, but I don't mean it like that, because the having it happen was through a lot of believers, a lot of partners.
Yeah, nothing happens by one person,
Totally.
but sometimes you need that dreamer to come up with the ideas.
But as an artist, it's really important to accept your role. Because a lot of times, you know, one of the lessons that I get from collectives is everybody wants to rid the individual to be part of a collective. And I feel like that's so dangerous. You are a human being. You should be accepted as such, and you should be honored as such. So we have to, as artists, really honor ourselves with our originality and our creativity. And the reason why I bring that up is because that is crucial to Tribe 13. Because to me, it comes from a vision that is transcendent to art. It's being a human. And it's Tribe 13 to me is the Earth Tribe unified. And the reason why 13 is the number is because we're separated into 12s. There's 12 months in a year. There's 12 constellations. There's this...
The 12 tribes?
There's the 12 tribes. Our philosophies of humanity are based on 12s as well. And the underlining center is the 13th, which in some cases would be the sun.
Okay.
And to me,
because there was also the 12 planets at one point.
At one point, yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even matter.
So what was Tribe 13, a collective that you and Jen Ingram created?
Well, first of all, I want to take it back first.
Yeah. Okay.
And to me, it's a universal thing. That's where it's coming from. The
Okay.
seed is that we're here to unify the planet as one tribe, and that's the 13th tribe. And how we become this tribe is through self-initiation. No one can initiate you. No one can accept you into this tribe. It's something that you have to initiate yourself into this tribe. And the only thing that you have to do is express yourself. Through the expression of yourself coming from the center out, that is your initiation. And why this is important is because all the problems in the world are from people judging themselves to the external, which is the first mistake that we can ever do, because we are not anything compared to the external world. We are all very unique individuals, and we really have to honor that uniqueness. And that's why I made a point to bring that up. That is the seed of Tribe 13 is that. Now,
Individuality.
yes.
And
Which creates a
self-acceptance.
unity because we're all different.
Right. Individuality, but also unity of the collective.
Totally.
Right. With the 13 at the center.
Regarding the space.
Uh-huh. So this was the vision behind Tribe 13. Where did you get this vision?
Meditation, many years of meditating, many years of research through many years of putting myself out into the world and receiving random experiences that I would put myself into. One of the random memories that I have right now is I would do psychedelics, and then I would do what like everybody told me not to do once I moved to the big city. Don't go out by yourself. Don't go out at night. Don't do all these things. Mm-hmm. And I did that. Up in Seattle, there was like these Native Americans always bumming money on the street. Mm-hmm. And then I was like always curious about that. So I put myself right next to them because I'm like, I'm not breaking any laws. And it took a lot of guts because these are huge, drunk individuals. And then I remember a couple of them like, what are you doing here? And then a couple others defending, like, hey, he's not doing anything wrong. He can sit here all he wants. And I would just trip out and like experience life from their perspective. And
so you would do acid and go and hang out with Native Americans in the street?
Yeah. Well, one of the many things I would do.
Okay.
But yes, I would do that just to see a different perspective. And the things that I would learn was immense.
Right. Beautiful. So let's go back to Tribe 13. So what did Tribe 13 become? Because Tribe 13 still exists today. It's run by Jen Ingram, your ex-girlfriend and mother of 2 of your children. What was it at the beginning when it became a collective? Because you guys pretty much started like the visionary art movement in events in Seattle and later in festival galleries around North America, right? And even internationally. Wasn't it in Boom Festival too?
Yes, it has grown, and I got to give a lot of credit to Jen Ingram for that. Mm-hmm. She's definitely like carried on the torch on that. Tribe 13 to me is part of my mission and part of the way to dispensate a lot of reflection to artists. My whole point was to create this thing to express and attract like-minded individuals so we could help each other create, basically. Mm-hmm. That's where the idea comes from. But
just get like spiritual artists together.
Yes, but you know, everybody always wants a story. So I was creating a story, a narrative, to attract these individuals. And part of the narrative was like our rituals were like cannabis and psychedelics and music. And even though many people notice live artists and all-night psychedelic parties, you know, we have to always remind each other that there was people that were fabricating this opportunity for us. You know, I can't take credit for all of it, obviously. Grateful Dead is a big part of it, and so on. But as far as a visionary art movement here in North America, as your primary question was, mm-hmm. That was my point, was to start a new movement of art, because I've always wanted to be a part of an art movement. You know, as an artist, you're like, oh,
I want to be part of a community that's like me.
But at the same time, none of us want to be told what to do. It's very important to our spirit. And so I was thinking, how can I like belong and be myself? So that was part of the initial questions I had to create these Tribe 13 interdimensional art movement and these iconic representations of community, mm-hmm. where I can be completely myself, not judging my art with someone else, but still feel like I belong.
Mm-hmm. And the Interdimensional Art Shows were a yearly show in Seattle, right?
Yes.
The one that I joined you finally, because I had my art in them, I think as early as 2005, 2006, but I finally went to Seattle in 2008, and I stayed at your place. I think Lindy Kehoe was also staying that time, and that's when I first met Naya and Zion, your son and daughter.
Special times.
Oh, so nice. And that year the main DJ was Tipper before he blew up. Like, how many people went to that show?
Oh
like
my God!
200?
I was talking. Jen was talking to the manager, and I told Jen, "Tell him we only have this much money." And then she told the manager, and the manager says, "You guys are fucking crazy." And then we got a call an hour later and says, "I just told Tipper that, and he said he would do it."
Okay.
Because he didn't care about the money.
Okay, because he was just trying to get up.
No. He was already pretty sought after. He had he deserved a certain amount.
Right.
But he believed in what we were doing. That's why all of our things happened.
Sick.
People believed what we were doing.
Right.
That's why you were there.
Because it was about the art first, the music second, but the music would empower the art.
Yeah,
right?
because I was always part of raves or from the beginning, early 90s and stuff like that. And I was even telling my producer friends that, the artists should have their name on the fucking flyer.
Right, why not?
And they would almost laugh at me. And they were friends. But they couldn't conceive of a painter being on the flyer or whatever. I'm
right.
like, I'm going to show you guys how.
But the Interdimensional Art Shows were about art first.
Well, all of it.
With great music. That year it was Tipper and Blue Tech and a bunch of other great musicians of the time.
Many people that started.
That was 2008, but since when did they start? 2003?
I'm not a linear person, so I would even be scared to say when.
Okay, but early 2000s perhaps?
Yes, for sure.
And at the beginning of the visionary art scene, what was a normal lineup? Like there was only like 10 to 15. Like who was on the Interdimensional Art Shows?
Oh my God, we have Robert Venosa, Martina Hoffman, Luke Brown. I don't even want to say
Carrie Thompson,
all of these very special people.
You, of course. Amanda was in
Jay
Europe.
Garcia.
Jay Garcia, probably Chris Davidson.
And Chris Davidson, of course. Oh my God, lovely individual.
Yeah, but Alex Gray wasn't part of the shows till later, till Jay bought that painting, perhaps?
No, before, but around that time. Jay is definitely a part of it. He was a crucial member of the vision crystallizing.
So tell me about Jay. So we're talking about our friend Jason Susu Hemp, who's a Galactic Gang member, who gave a Galactic Gang NFT to Roman, so he's part of the gang now. Tell me about his participation. Tell me about his role empowering the early roots of the North American visionary art scene in the early 2000s and mid 2000s.
It's a very special story, and it's part of our reality. I've always been a believer in my vision, and I attract certain people. And when he came into my life, he believed in what I was saying, and I believed in what he was saying, and our energies just meshed together, and we crystallized, and we created many things together. And one of the main reasons why I was always making it happen. But when our energies combined, it went on to a new level. Because
he funded it, right?
That's one aspect, and that is a very crucial aspect, a very important aspect, and a very needed aspect. And sometimes we're lacking that aspect. So it's very easy to put credit onto that. But no, I think of his energy.
He's a special dude.
Yeah, manifesting, crazy in a sense of believing with your heart and action. And when I experienced that reflection, it gave me a voice. It gave me security to be able to speak my mind, and people would listen. Because on one side of things, we would that kind of vibe. We created things. We created money. We created this. We created that, and people get attracted to that. So you get a lot of false energy and a lot of positive energy. But nonetheless, you got to recognize that you're in this voice. So you have to not be too judgmental, because people are learning too. Even when people come at you with a negative or reactive or sucking or whatever kind of energy, you have to recognize that their soul is being attracted to what you're doing. And that is the root of it. And we've had to learn through that. And with him, it was those kind of lessons, very profound. But we had each other to talk about these kind of things. So which was much deeper than a material thing. But because we were so involved with each other on that level, it involved magic on that level.
So you had the Interdimensional Art Shows happening for a bunch of years that you won't remember.
Well,
And what's some of the music festivals that visionary art started infiltrating? Because, you know, I can't say that before Tribe 14 there was no art galleries at music festivals, but certainly not visionary art. And
we were pretty the first on a lot of levels. I don't want to say that either because, you know, Earth is an interesting thing. You always find out it's always been happening.
Right. It's natural.
Yeah.
But what's some of the art festivals you guys infiltrated?
Well, like Earth Dance was one of the crucial ones. Because,
Earth Dance Seattle? Because it happens all over the place, right?
The one over at the Hog Farm and at Veneta. It was happening in Veneta first, I think, when I joined.
California?
Yeah, and I sold them on the idea on the gallery. Mm-hmm. And, you know, because nobody knew what I was talking about. Mm-hmm. So then once I learned that nobody knew what I was talking about, then I took an authoritative voice and said, this is what's happening. Mm-hmm. And people would open up their, like, all of a sudden we have a double booth by the stage. Mm-hmm. Just by, like, taking the guts to say something, you know?
It's like, this is an art movement that should be in relationship to these music festivals you guys are putting on.
Yes.
And finally it started catching a little bit.
It caught on instantly.
Okay.
Because
people really liked it.
Well, I learned the language because if you're a producer, you want people to have an experience. So then you start knowing that kind of language, saying this is what we provide. We provide a multi-dimensional experience for your people. We create value. We are artists, and all that.
Nice. So during that time that Jay was helping or collaborating with you and kind of like helping the visionary scene get like some kind of momentum, I remember he bought a original Alex Gray painting.
Oh, yes.
And he also sent you guys, I guess like the top 10 or 5 visionary artists to Spain to learn under Robert Venosa, right, in Cadaqués?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that experience that I missed out. I'm really pissed off about.
Well, that was like, you know, like I was saying, you know, when you want to be part of an art movement, all of a sudden I'm with my favorite artists in Spain under Robert Venosa, Martina Hoffman. Mm-hmm. And so that was like a dream in itself.
Super G's.
It's like amazing, truly amazing.
Yeah.
And I can't even speak enough about it because.
How long was that trip?
I think it was a couple weeks there. And then we spent like altogether we spent a week in Barcelona. Okay. And we did a mural together at this restaurant called Organic.
Wow. So who was on that trip?
Memory. Oh my God. Okay. Chris Davidson, Luke Brown, Kerry Thompson, Jay Garcia, Chris Cooksey.
Oh wow.
Mango, this girl artist from Australia. Okay. Very special.
So that's like
I'm really bad with names and memory, but
that's like even like an art, like a visionary art lineup that doesn't even happen too much. Chris Cooksey moved into lowbrow art. Mm-hmm. Chris Davidson,
who was part of our Interdimensional Art Shows, as well.
But you know, at the beginning they might have been part of the visionary scene, but then like say Cooksey went to lowbrow. Chris Davidson now's a tattooer. Mm-hmm. Luke Brown's up in Bali, like you know, you hear him more out in Asia and Europe, etc.
He's becoming on his own little cloud.
Yeah,
meditating.
So you know, and then here's Ron Villagrana, still repping out here in North America. How was learning under Venosa, rest in peace, was such a master. I fucking love them. I was so honored to meet him in Hawaii at Alchemize and just do his one-day workshop with Martina Hoffman, who now lives in Europe. So like the energy is moved all around. How was that moment?
Really cool. At first I didn't think that he liked me. You know, people's energies, but no, it ended up being a very lovely brother for sure. Mm-hmm. So many memories with him. I actually did ayahuasca with him in Brazil.
Whoa. How did that happen?
Via my friend Jay as well.
He got you all. Did you guys go on some kind of psychedelic adventure?
Yeah, I was late because I didn't know how to travel. and I didn't know I needed a visa to get into Brazil. But things were like happening really fast, so I got there late. So I had double journeys like back to back because I came in late, and they're like, "Wow, we wanted you to experience this," and it was so intense and powerful. But it was a very bonding moment with Martina Hoffman and Robert Venosa on a deep level.
Wow.
And that's when I really connected with him. I'm like, okay,
that's
we're
legendary.
brothers. And he was looking through my sketches one night and said, you know what? I don't have to worry about you because I know that you're going to keep drawing and keep doing artwork.
Yeah.
And I was like, thanks, Robert.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, he knew he was coming to an end. I didn't have a clue.
We never knew.
Yeah, I didn't have a clue. And
what was his age back then? So this is like mid 2000s, I'm guessing, once again. He died 2011. I remember he died while I was doing my show at Tri-14 Gallery in Ukiah, right here where we are right now. And all of a sudden we got the news that Robert Venosa died. And we had no idea he had cancer. And Jen and Mark Henson and all of us was like, today we're going to the lake and we're jumping in a lake and we're just taking a day off to realize that we're still alive and to think about this and absorb it. So he must have been going through that dying process all along, right?
I think so. In retrospect, a lot of things made sense because I sometimes didn't understand his way of talking. But in retrospect, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I remember when I was learning from him, I was like, kind of like picking his brain, being like, okay, so what's next for you, man? Like, you know, like, are you gonna invent a new art style? And he was just kind of like, no, I'm just happy with what I'm doing. I just want to find a place where I can leave my paintings and chill them. And now I understand that he was just getting ready to rest, and he just wanted to expose the stuff he
really loved us.
Mm-hmm. He appreciated that a movement had come out of what
he didn't want to be thought of as an elder. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be thought of as someone that belonged to our group.
Right.
Which was...
he was super cool. I loved meeting him, even if briefly, and give thanks and praises. Robert Venosa, rest in peace. You were part of this movement that's the roots of visionary art at a time where visionary art wasn't even a thing that people really understood. This is like, early days of internet. Maybe you'd find a little bit of visionary art on Arrowhead webpage.
Well, it would come up, and like visionary art was also people associated to never going to school.
Like outsiders. Outside of society.
And I didn't like any title. That's why I created the Interdimensional Art Movement.
Right. You don't like the visionary title.
Well, I don't care, and I enjoy using it now because now I'm not attached or whatever. But back then, when you're like an artist and like you want to be correct, you're like, everybody's a visionary artist. But we're very specific in our, however vague we may be, we're very specific kind of people. So we have to create something. And I created the Interdimensional Art Movement to cure that aspect because to me, the acronym is IAM. I am. Mm-hmm. It's based on the finite of yourself.
Interdimensional Art Movement.
Interdimensional Art Movement as a written thing is infinite. Mm-hmm. You're not bound to any style or anything. You're infinite.
It's just spirit channeling
through
whatever.
To your you. And that's one thing that I was speaking up in the beginning is a lot of people that are very spiritual and they want to become part of a collective. They want to discard that part. And I never understand that. That is not, you have a human body for a reason. In my perspective, I may be wrong. And I'm okay with being wrong. But
it's all opinions.
Yeah. But at the same time, like I have a body, I have a mind, and it's different than everybody else's. And I notice every person the same.
Right. When people ask me like, what is visionary art? I'm like, well, I know what I know what people think what visionary art is. It's this like spiritual, mystical, metaphysical art movement. But when I've gone deep on ayahuasca and I've connected, and I ask, what is ayahuasca art? Which is a kind of visionary art. And it's like, it's everything. There's nothing that's not spiritual as long as you're doing it through spirit. Like exactly. You can do a boring Bob Ross landscape.
Who is not a visionary artist?
Yeah. No, anybody.
That's a better question.
Right. Anybody who expresses is soul manifesting into the
even if it's a replication.
Right.
That's who they are.
Totally. So regardless of titles.
But let's go back to the importance of language, though. People really relate to that. So I give it credit.
Yeah.
I give it credit because why not use it? If people are going to connect to it, why not use it? And
It's what's understood.
If you get their attention, then really share your soul.
It's a platform more than anything, you know?
100%.
Like when I say, like, I don't go off and it's like, hey, I'm a visionary artist.
That's not my vision.
No, but like when you say like, oh yeah, I'm being a part of the visionary artist, blah, blah, blah. They understand what you're trying to tell them because they might be part of a scene that has an understanding of what that's supposed to be.
And you got to give credit to that. That's an amazing accomplishment.
It's a beautiful thing, you know? It's art that relates to psychedelics and soul and spirituality. The North American flavor of it is more positive and uplifting and about evolution. So it's not like a negative, bad thing. And you know, all thanks for these platforms that have helped us.
100%.
Totally. So, being that you were part of the roots of this movement, and now we're in 2022, and this movement, this visionary scene is now kind of cool, and it doesn't have 10 to 15 artists, it has hundreds to thousands of artists. Worldwide. It's very popular. There's not a festival that doesn't have a visionary art gallery. You know, live painters at so many events. Big lineup, maybe a little bit competitive, maybe a little bit of hype. There's a lot of hype.
It easily has become. Same thing with the DJs. Same thing with the things. And I say DJ because it's a classical title. But in the beginning, I'll use this as an example. In the beginning, we had a DJ because we were taking the ego out of the band. You don't go to like a show and you're nodding your head to rock and roll music. As much as I love rock and roll music, it's a thing, right? But our soul was calling out for more of an experience for my individual, not to look up to somebody. So the DJ comes in and like takes the ego out of the band and starts mixing music that isn't even theirs on some level. So that's a part of it, right? And that allowed us to explore our individuality. But then as time goes on, these DJs become glorified and it becomes super ego.
Super ego.
So that's like what I'm seeing with the visionary art movement too. But you can't blame that because human consciousness, once it catches on, there's a larger group of people catching on. So when someone rises, there's a lot more people focused on that. So you automatically create that popularity. And that's something that we have to be very careful about, you know?
Do you think in this new era of visionary art where superstars are made and there's a big scene and there's money and there's galleries and there's events, a little bit of the soul that originally was held in those original days. In the original days, it wasn't about the money. There was no money. The people were just like, we got this thing, we're sharing it. We want to help create a blueprint for the world to become more beautiful. Your beautiful child and wife. Talking of which. And now it's a cool thing and there's money and there's scenes. Do you think the soul's being lost, or do you think the soul is still running through it all, but we just have to overcome the egos that might pop up to be like, well, I want to be the new this and that and whatnot?
You know, we have to, this is very important because more and more people are connecting to us. We are becoming more and more people. So a lot of the influence is coming from multiplicity of backgrounds. And that's where we have to be really strong and not succumb to the external reflections and really be true to ourselves, which is not very easy, especially if you are put in that position of being popular. It's really easy to lose yourself because then all of a sudden you're amidst the reflection of you. And you accept this because why not? That's who you are. Like that's
you're in a flattering hall of mirrors.
Yes. But that's where we have to, you and I and our special friends and whoever's listening to this opportunity, is we're here to really weave our consciousness together and really be true to ourselves and really honor ourselves, because it's really easy to lose ourselves and then try and like replicate this feeling, and that's when we lose it. there's nothing to replicate other than to really enjoy yourself. Because that's what we're all here to do, is really enjoy ourselves. And that's the one thing I see people lose when they achieve a certain status. They start to lose enjoying themselves, like my child in the background. That's something that we have to really nurture, because that's what we're really searching after. And you may become rich, or you may manifest this stuff, and you may swindle a large population to believe in you in that. But what did you do?
Yeah, is it true to your soul, to
It
your
wasn't true to the
purpose?
initial vision that got you there.
Right.
You were just trying to sustain it. And
What are we chasing here?
Yeah, and there's nothing we should be chasing. And that's
We can manifest anything we want, but once again, if it's aligned with the initial principle and intention of helping humanity through our service, I think it's all pure. And may the abundance flow. May we all be fucking swimming in richnesses and blessings. But we also here to give, not just to take.
Well, one of the things that you're making me think of, which is a really profound thing, and it's relationships. Relationships are very challenging.
Humans are tricky.
Very tricky. We love each other, and then we project these things between us, and then things change. And then we're heartbroken. Why are we heartbroken? You're not broken. Your perception is broken. That's why you're feeling that. You externalized your attachment into this thing that isn't real in the first place. That's never real. And we have to learn how to be within ourselves and empower ourselves in the relationship and nurture the other person to be themselves. Oftentimes we fabricate this thing between us. And that's one of the first things that is wrong. And we all are succumbed to that because we fall in love with each other. So we'll do whatever. But no, you are a divine individual. You are the only divine individual.
Well, each and one of us.
That's it. Exactly. That's all. And if we're blessed to experience that with a lover or a community or whatever, we can't lose ourselves. Like, goes back to the beginning of what I was saying, the collective. You can't give your soul up to the collective. You should be empowered by the collective to be yourself.
Right.
And then that yourself is an offering to the collective. So it's not like you're taking it for yourself.
Yeah, you're sharing yourself so others can also be themselves. So in this new version or new era of visionary art, once again, where do you think you fit in? Because, like, say back in the day at the beginnings, you were like, one of the top 5 of the lineup, and perhaps these days there's just so many that maybe the name has fallen off the charts. But, like, does that even matter? Is that your intention? Are you always going to be of service regardless of, like, being part of the who's of any scene, and I hope this is not a. I
love this question.
Okay, cool.
I love it. Everything is infinite. The world is an illusion. And I don't want to sound too spiritual or anything, because I also lack. I fall prey to darkness, and I'll lose myself for years and years. But at the end, it doesn't change who we are to each other. So we have to be really true, especially if we're dedicating ourselves to art. We have to allow ourselves to go through the disattachment. We can't feel like we don't belong, even though we will, and that's part of the experience. But in reality, that's not true. For the people that understand what I'm talking about, it's our duty to explore and express this with each other, because if you're a real artist, this is what you're wanting. And if we learn the language about what we're talking about, the stronger we can be for each other and create an expression for humanity, because each soul deserves to experience that. And falling out of the rhythms, like John Lennon says, I'm just watching the wheels go round and round. What a beautiful soul, right?
Right, and that's a great reflection, because that was a time of his life, that particular song and that particular record. He had been part of the Beatles, the biggest band of the world. And he was over it. He said, you know what? I just want to like live my little family life. I just want to be private and hide a little bit and do my thing. Like, we will never not be ourselves. We will never not do visionary art or our service. It doesn't matter if you're like this or that for a scene or the spotlight. But these are things that people care about, you know, and we are humans, you know.
I have desires.
We all do.
Okay. And I have desires in what you're talking about, and I still see myself part of that. You asked me about the projects that I want to work on. Some of those projects are based on what we're talking about. One of them is when you look at me as an artist, or when people look at me as an artist, they expect to know my painting or my maybe poetry or whatever expression. But that isn't cutting it these days as an artist. We're much more than that. So my focus now is not to be glorified necessarily, but to help create a platform to express the trueness of an artist. Because you know, a lot of people get interviewed, or they have websites, or they have personas. They all fall short to the multiplicity of who we are. So we're really having to develop a new language to express this this mode of being. It's not that we're creating anything new. We're just needing to expand the language of this presence.
We are realizing more and more what we really are.
Exactly.
And it blows your mind.
It blows your mind. But we have technology now that's reaching new levels, and we can teach these this technology to express who we really are, or better, because we're infinite. We're always going to be ahead of technology. But we can train technology to further explore the multiplicity of who we are.
Well, may we realize who we are, technology or not. Let's talk a little bit about your art. One, I'm gonna make it two questions in one, and you can just roll with it. And yeah, there's your second beer there if you want to. What's your main mediums of expression, and what is the subject matter of your expression?
I've thought about this too much. Ultimately, my trip is to, when I want a person to view my artwork, my ego says, look what cool thing I can draw. That's definitely true. I want to express my personality.
Well, you want to make it look beautiful and cool, and you want people to like it. That's normal, and that shouldn't be a bad thing.
No, it isn't. And I love that, because that's who I am, and I want to share myself. But I've meditated on that for a long time, and I realized that what I really want is someone to explore themselves. That's the power of art. You know, like, oh, you're questioning things. What is this? Who are they? What are these big-eyed individuals? Why are they making love? Why is it all fractaled out that way? And these questions spawn thoughts. And that's the root of my true desire with art.
It seems like a lot of your paintings are almost like a celebration of life, but from a spiritual perspective. Like the party at the end of time.
I was going to say, that was the first vision I was going to say, because after I go through all of that, then you create your myth, or your belief, or your vision, or your desire, or your belief. And my belief is I'm on the quest to the eternal party at the end of time.
What does that mean?
Well, Tribe 13 and Interdimensional Art Movement are all based on this vision that I received, that I feel like I went to the future. I actually, I know it sounds weird, and I don't want to make sound...
There's nothing weird in this show, man.
But I became enlightened, right? And...
you had a moment of Satori.
Yes. And then I was everything at once, right? And then I was able to sustain it. And then I realized that the important part is to come out of that enlightenment just a little bit, where the reflection of each other still exists. And that's what taught me about interdimensional existence. And I was able to come out of enlightenment and experience an interdimensional existence. And I was able to bridge multidimensional dimensions physically within my body. So that's different than enlightenment. Enlightenment is all of it at once, and there's nothing.
There's
right?
no time and space.
There's
There's
no self. There's the or for the sake of words, because no words can express.
It's oneness.
But coming out of pulling it back just a little bit before enlightenment is what I call interdimensional existence. Mm-hmm. And that's where I created the interdimensional art movement, is to try and express that, because the importance of that is we as artists, and I say artists as humanity, we as humans are here to express the acceptance of the multiplicity that is. And it's a very basic thing. I'm not saying anything new, but we've yet to really achieve that. We're far from that. So you have all these non-binary beings. You have these issues with gender. I laugh because, of course,
it's more splitting as opposed to more uniting.
Well, no, it's not splitting. It's union in my eyes. It's like, of course.
Okay.
People are questioning all this stuff, and they're like recognizing that this is not who we are.
Okay, gotcha.
It's very important.
So non-binary is more uniting because it's neither, it's everything.
You know, I've talked to some people, and they're so stuck in their thing that I don't actually relate to some people, like I don't relate to males or females. So I think we're all like trying to figure it out. Yeah. But to me, as a symptom, it makes sense that we're questioning this.
I get that. I guess like when it comes to sexual definitions, it just seems like there's more and more categories being brought up, and just seems like more things to keep us separated. Well, you're this and you're that and you're that and you're that.
You have a point, because humanity is trying to interpret through the external. Mm-hmm. But what we're tapping into is that we're not the external. So we're trying to figure it out. We're like, I'm not male, I'm not female. And to tell you the truth, you know, when I told you I became enlightened, the first thing that happened that out of enlightenment, I noticed I had a penis. It shocked me.
Cool.
Yeah. So I understand what people are saying.
Totally get it, because when I go on deep ayahuasca trips, sometimes I'm a woman. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling the womanness in me, and I'm fully a man, and you know, like, and that's my code in this physical dualistic realm. But in the oneness dimension, interdimensional thing, I can also be a woman and really relish in that vibe. And what a celebration of love and femininity. Yeah, so it's a beautiful thing. So that's your subject matter. What about the materials? You're a drawer first and a painter second, or what? How do you express yourself?
I've always been a drawer, yes, and I love to paint, and acrylic is my main subject.
But you use airbrush a lot, right?
I use airbrush a lot, and that was part of my b-boy action.
Okay.
Because the reason why I say that is like it's kind of not true, but when I was 13 years old, I went to San Jose, and my cousins were breakdancing, and they were like, they saw me draw, and they knew that I liked to draw, and they says, oh, you should check this out, you should draw things like this, and they were, and they opened me up to
hip hop culture.
Yeah, and then I started, and as cheesy as this sounds, I saw a heart spray painted, and white highlight on the heart to make it look round, and I fell in love with that highlight, and ever since then I got turned on to airbrush, and I just that's the beginning of it, is the hip hop graffiti roots that inspired my airbrush action.
Nice. Tell me about your erotic art. You like to express your sexuality.
Well, I consider it as an issue with humanity.
Okay.
Because sometimes we make it the most natural things taboo, and you know, it's something that we have to just get comfortable with, and recognize the beauty of our sexuality, because we all come from this, and it's such a powerful symbol of everything. So I'm in love with that symbol, and it's a very passionate thing, and like you can't deny the beauty of nature, and however you relate to it, you want to interact with it, and if you don't, it's an issue, it's a problem, it's sad.
If that's cut off.
Yeah.
So you're a sexual.
I'm not saying you have to be sexual, or I'm not saying it has to be a certain way, but it's a very symbolic to our connection with each other, because like right now, you and I, we're making love.
Oh.
Yes, it's very. It's the same. It's the same. We are truly making love.
Or Roman.
Yes.
Just fucking with you.
I don't care. But the reason why I bring that up is that we're truly meshing our vibration, but we're being resonant to who we are. I'm attracted to you as an artist, and I'm exploring you as an artist, and that's making love. Sexuality is a symbol of what you and I are doing right now.
Mm-hmm. But more a physical expression, in your case, between a man and a woman.
That's a symbol.
Mm-hmm. So you like to express this. Do you feel there's a double standard in these days, where now that the women goddess side of the equation of humanity is being empowered and be like, yes, women, express your sexuality, go out and show it all off. Meanwhile, the men who've been the villains of society forever, not us, but other people, perhaps, I don't know. Do you feel if a man expresses it, it's seen in a more dirty, pervy, kind of creepy way? Do you think there's that observation of society? And, what's your observation as a man that likes to express sexuality through your art? Well,
I think what you're talking about is why I did erotic art in the first place. I think these thoughts are a waste of time, because there's much more pertinent issues, and the reason why we're exploring these ideas is because we've made these things taboo. So we're having to experience the infinite, the control, the sacrifice, all the things about it. We're having to experience and understand. But all of those things are a waste of our time, in my perspective. Mm-hmm. But I believe they should be celebrated.
What's a waste of our time? To divide ourselves and to say that one kind of sexuality is bad and one sexuality is good?
Yeah, or why should you have to judge someone, or why you have to... all those subjects are due to us not being open in the first place. Mm-hmm. So once we're open...
we're just expressing love through physicality.
Yeah, and then nature will find its balance. It's our human consciousness that reacts to it and tries to control.
As long as it's all done with respect and consent and oneness and proper love, or physical expression shouldn't be a negative thing, regardless of which sex is expressing it.
It's infinite.
So Roman, would you consider yourself a Rasta? You and me used to have dreads. We don't have dreads anymore. But do you still carry the Rasta vibe in you?
Forever and ever. But I've always been connected to it on a real level. The Interdimensional Art movement and the Tribe 13 thing and the Rasta thing and the Christian thing and the Buddhist thing and all those things are one in my mind. So yes.
And it doesn't really matter what hair we carry or not.
No, I've always loved, the reason why I loved that, I would always go to experience Rasta people, and some were like really heavy, and I would love that. I would like the conflict. And as soon as they started talking like one thing is more deserving than another thing, I'm like, well, first and foremost is, what do you think I means? Let's get to the point. And as soon as you can take it there, you can't judge another person. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I bring that up is like, people that believe themselves to belong to a certain thing and they see themselves as separate than other things, I'm sorry, you don't understand.
You lost
I don't
the
care
oneness.
your lineage. I don't care
The race.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I love you. I love myself.
So one
You are-
soul.
Yeah.
I love it. I really appreciate that about you, Roman, because like you just kind of like get it. You've gone past the veil. You've brought back gifts that enriching your life and enriching the lives of whoever observe your art and expression. So yeah, thanks for sharing that right now. How do you observe the state of humanity?
It's very crucial for us to have this conversation because I feel like the artists have a voice. And right now, if we step up, and I really mean it to all of us that are listening to it, that are artists, that are recognizing themselves as artists, is that we are gifted right now with this possibility to express our authoritative voice of being ourselves. Because there's a lot of hurt going on in the world. And most of this hurt, I know, is from separation. People don't feel connected for many reasons, and most people know by now. It's like a common dialogue. We are starting to understand this, and I really believe that understanding this is empowering the art of the world, because a true human is an artist. A true human is needing to express themselves. So if we look around at all the beautiful flowers, all the beautiful trees, they're expressing and unfolding themselves. And we look around, we see people that are unhealthy. They're not unfolding themselves. They're not expressing themselves. They're not accepted as themselves. So we have a really crucial time right now where art can speak to this. And right now, I feel like if we clearly learn the language to be able to express this, we will be the most empowered group of people that ever existed, because we are humanity.
Mm-hmm. Well, Terence McKenna said it, the best, that, art is so important for us to really come back to that state of oneness. Art seems like, oh, well, what's art? A painting on the wall? What does that
being a
matter?
Cashier.
Right, exactly.
It's being a
Art's
cashier.
not like a
It's
painting
being a
on the
bus
wall.
driver.
Right, or a janitor that cleans that toilet really good.
100%.
Yeah.
Presence. Presence is the key.
Or a family maker.
A presence.
Yeah, just being here now, understanding that we're God manifesting through the physical realm, trying to bring as much love and good vibes as we can. Do you think we will make it as humanity?
We already have.
Okay.
We're judging ourselves once again with that question to the external.
Okay. Well,
I know what you're getting at.
it's a tricky time, Like right now, it seems like we're fighting. There's
I know what you're getting at.
There's
yeah.
economic.
But that's the thing. That's what makes our art. We already made it.
Okay. Beautiful. By believing in that, we will actually create it.
That's the art that you do.
Uh-huh.
Do you believe in your art?
I do believe.
Do you do it all the time?
I love it. I
you're
can't
there.
stop it.
You're
May I end up in an apocalyptic cave, I will still draw on the walls of that cave and be happy as long as my life remains. And when I depart from this physical vessel, I'll go back to oneness in infinity, eternity, and give thanks for the bliss of experiencing, what we came here to observe.
Exactly. and that's what every human being deserves. And that's why I believe that you're important.
Thank you,
and
man.
Artists are important.
You're important too.
Because we're here to give that reflection to a human being. Mm-hmm. And that's the people that support you.
So I'm going to bring back the party at the end of time. What does that mean? Like, is time going to end at some point? Like, are we going to enter eternity outside of time and space?
Sure, whatever language you want to use. But yeah, I think that as we're talking about it in this new age, I would like to say, yes, it's like we're at a dance party, and your ticket in is your expression of yourself, is your offering. That's what's making this happen. And you're the gift that you're giving, and that's the access key to this eternal party. Mm-hmm. But I'm not the only person expressing this. The Egyptians, where they have the symbols in the pyramids of this afterlife. I don't call it the afterlife. I call it the after party.
I like it.
It's true. All the inscriptions are gifted to us. And one of the things that I experienced on my enlightenment before is I was in the pyramid as a pharaoh with the garb. I experienced this. Very interesting experience. I was hanging out with 92-ish, 4-ish, with these beautiful kids that would do speed all the time. I never did speed. Mm-hmm. But they loved me. Mm-hmm. They're always giving me gifts, and they're like, "Hey, we're playing records all night." And I loved acid. They didn't love acid because they were on speed. Mm-hmm. So they would bring me back the acid, and they're like, "Here." They'd dose me, and they would want me to paint all night while they do their thing with the music. There was one time I got so freaking high, and I was with these people on speed, and they were like my engine for my consciousness. Mm-hmm. And then there was this little room that they didn't smoke pot, but they knew I smoked pot. So they gifted me all this kind herb that people would trade for whatever they were doing, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, "We don't smoke this, but here, you can smoke it." Mm-hmm. So I'm like, "I'm going to take a break, you guys." And then there was, in this record store, there was this little room that had stairs, and it would go into nowhere because it got blocked off, and they made a different business upstairs, right? Mm-hmm. But it looked like a pyramid, like, and then blocked off, like, mysterious, right?
It's like there's a secret portal door here if you can transverse physicality.
So I was all like, really, one night I was really super high, and I went in there, I closed the door, and I went in there to smoke. And as I lit my smoke, I lit some incense, and then the incense started spinning like this, and it turned into scarabs. And the scarabs turned into like a rainbow winged scarabs, and it flew into the sky. And I looked up, and the ceiling opened up and became the sky, and the scarab went up. And then after I caught on what I was seeing, everything melted back down, and it was hieroglyphs around me. And I was wearing a pharaoh outfit. Wow. And this word interdimensional came in. That was the beginning of the interdimensional thing. And
wow, you were totally tapping into that past life.
I did it multiple times, but that was one of the first times, and then I came out of there and I was like, "Whoa, that's like profound."
So the party at the end of time is once we've achieved oneness past the world of the duality, physicality we're living right now.
Well, it goes really deep. The Earth will turn into a 12-pointed star. This is where Tribe 13 comes from. Tribe 13 is the unified light that is brought forth from the 12 centers of the earth.
Beautiful. I've had definitely deep ayahuasca ceremonies where I've gotten outside of time and space, and we're already at the end of all of this thing, whatever's happening here that lasts billions of years, and we're like high-fiving ourselves inside ourselves. It's like, I was Chris, I was Roman, I was the girlfriends in all these different lives, and we had all these things, and we did it, and we lived it, and we suffered, and we enjoyed, and we experienced life as God wanted to us.
That's right before enlightenment.
Right.
Like right before enlightenment.
Right, enlightenment is just going back to the oneness of everything, which is undescribable. And
that's why I came up with this poem. It's "Make no resistance to an interdimensional existence. Bad thoughts collide with the physical shell we ride. So glide with a good vibe and be part of the harmonic tribe. 13, if you know what I mean. Make the unseen seen."
Yo! Love you, Roman. Thank you. I think I'm going to leave it at that note. It's been a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for having me over your home and having this great talk. I love you.
I love you too. Yeah. And keep doing what you're doing. It really is a light upon us.
Try my best, man.
I'm just being yourself.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, right?
It's a journey. And thank you guys also for tuning into Chris Dyer's Creative Friends. Yes. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the button thingies that make this show reach more people. and let more people know about these great, beautiful artists that are here to share their magic with us. Until the next time, have a good one. Blessings.
Blessed love.
Yes, yeah, man. Next episode, my guest will be Phil Lewis.
If you are trying to make art, you're trying to do anything creative, there's the tendency for this thing to say, oh, this isn't good enough. Like, oh, this kind of sucks. I'm not good. Like, people aren't going to like this or whatever. And that is really the only thing that's going to stop you. Really. Like, if you believe in yourself and you're not doubting what it is you're going to do, you will find a way to do it. And so that really helped me when I was younger. I just try it every time something creeps in. I'm just like, oh, that's self-doubt. Get it out of there. No self-doubt. Like, do not doubt it. If I believe it, do it.
So please make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Big thanks, and see you next episode. Peace.